Hi guys, I'm David with MediaUnlock.net, and today we're going to be talking about the Sony A7R II. Now, as you guys know, every time I get a new body that I'm reviewing, I kind of go in depth on it and give you my opinions and thoughts on it. But we're not really going to do that with the Sony A7R II because there's already a lot of videos out there, and this camera's been out for a little while. The reason I wanted to grab it from B&H is to test a few specific things, one of them being the Meta Bones adapter. Now, I've had the Sony A7S II. That B&H sent me out earlier this year, and we tested that out, and that camera performed very well for video. Unfortunately, with the Meta Bones adapter for the Canon lenses, it did not perform well at all. The autofocus was crap. It just struggled so bad. But I had read that it worked really well with the Sony A7R II, so I was like, I got nothing to review this month. Why don't I hit B&H up, have them send it out, see what I think. And I'm pretty impressed with how well the Meta Bones actually focused with the A7R II. So let's talk a little bit about it. I've had it for about a month now. I haven't done as much shooting with it as I'd like to. Most of the shooting I've done, my brother plays D2 basketball in college, and so I thought that would be an excellent place to go test it out. The problem being is that it's poorly lit in his basketball court, where they play their games. So I really had to bump up the ISO on this camera, and I was pretty impressed with the quality of shot that I got between 4,000 and 8,000 ISO. So of course at the end of this video I will pop up a few pictures and I'll look up the settings so that you can actually, I'll put the settings on the pictures so you can actually see, where my ISO was at and get a good idea. Because I was also keeping my shutter speed between 300 and 400 when I was shooting, so high ISO, high shutter speed, and then I think my f-stop was really kind of low at like a 2.8 or something. I mostly shot with this Tamron 70-200, the SP version. So this is like their IS version of similar to the IS on Canon lenses. By the way, if you guys are looking for a 70-200 and you're looking to save some money, this bad boy, I've tested both the Canon and the Tamron, and it's hard to tell the difference between the two. But back to the Sony A7R II. I get confused. Both of them are so similar sounding. Really happy with the camera and the Meta Bones adapter. Would I switch over to Sony if I could? The biggest drawback from switching from Canon or Nikon to Sony is that you go from a plethora of options when it comes to glass, where you go to Sony, now you're paying a premium price on glass, which is frustrating. There isn't as much third-party options out there as there is with Canon and Nikon, and Sony themselves don't make a lot of their, they don't have a very large selection of glass, so that's a little bit of a drawback. So that's where this Meta Bones adapter really comes in. So let's talk about autofocus with it. The autofocus was way quicker than expected. I did not think this thing was going to focus as well as it did. Now, I did find that when I was autofocusing with other focusing settings other than the center focus, it didn't do as well. So I would suggest if you have a Sony camera or you're thinking about getting this set up, or you're thinking about switching over and you're going to get the Meta Bones because you're a Canon shooter, or you can get the Meta Bones version for Nikon and you just want to use your lenses on it. The focusing's really good, but you need to do the center focus. I found that when I was holding it and I had it set up on center focus, it was able to pinpoint everything pretty well. How did it do with the frames per second? Frames per second was pretty good. I believe the Sony does 5 or 6 frames per second, and it did much better than expected. I was able to actually capture like a player going from the 3-point line or maybe an 18-footer, driving into the basket and click, 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 all the way to the basket, and being able to catch that. You get, I want to say, at 5 frames per second on RAW, you get about 10 to 15 shots before it buffers out, and so then you've got to wait sometimes 30 seconds, it seemed like, before it was done buffering and you could start shooting again. So it would just sit there kind of buffering. So part of that I could say was my SD card, but I had a really fast SD card in the camera, so the camera can only buffer at a certain speed to the SD card pretty much. And so I had a 90 megabyte one, I believe. It would be a 633 times. So I found that That was a little frustrating, being able to take 15 shots, over a few seconds, and then having to sit there and watch it buff. And thankfully I didn't miss any plays or anything, or any special shots during the buffing time. The battery does not last long. It's very frustrating how long the battery lasts on this thing. I pretty much get an hour and a half of straight shooting with it, and then I'm not talking about video. I'm talking about photography. You're going to get about an hour and a half of straight shooting with that, so you're going to want backup batteries. Thankfully I had them, so I was able to get through a whole entire basketball game with 2 batteries, and that was it though, and then I had to charge the batteries. So ISO capabilities, really, really strong. Far as a photography-based camera, again, the Sony A7R II is more photography-based, where the Sony A7S II is more video-based. They both do photography and video. Sony A7R is stronger on the photography side. Sony A7S is much stronger on the video side. 10,000 ISO is right where this thing maxes out, and you start to lose quality if you have some lighting. If you have no lighting and it's really dark, you're going to lose quality at 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 ISO. Pretty big. So the 8,000, with the poorly lit basketball court, still got some pretty strong shots, and I was pretty happy with it. Again, we'll show some of those pictures at the end of this video. Not happy with the battery. Center focus, you definitely want to use center focus on this bad boy when you're focusing. 4K video, let's talk a little bit about that. It's pretty good. Of course, it's cropped, so at 1080p you're going to get more that full frame sensor, where the 4K is cropped, so it's going to cut in your 4K. Again, you're going to max out probably with the video. You're going to start seeing noise at between 6,000 and 8,000 or 9,000 ISO, depending on your lighting. Maybe you could get up to 10,000, depending on how well lit the areas that you're shooting in. Where the Sony A7S II is, 25,000, 35,000 ISO before you really start going, look at all that noise. The only big drawback that I saw with the Meta Bones that was a little frustrating, even at low ISOs, I saw that my pictures were not as sharp as they would have been if I was shooting with a Canon camera. So that was really frustrating for me, that this was not, with the Meta Bones, that I wasn't getting, some of the pictures weren't as sharp as I would have liked them to have been. Now granted, when I was using high ISO, I could understand why the sharpness was not as good, because you're using such a high ISO that does hurt the quality of the picture. But if you're using a low ISO and you're still not getting a super sharp shot, that's a little frustrating. So I think that's a drawback on the Meta Bones. Again, Meta Bones are going to run you about $400. It's well worth it if you've got the Sony camera already and you have some Canon lenses. So would I buy this camera? I like Sony. I like them a lot. If they came to me and offered me a full setup, I would seriously consider it. But I think that if I had the option, I would still take the Canon 5DS over the Sony. The only drawback with the 5DS would be that the ISO capabilities really drop off at 3500 ISO, where this is still going strong at 3500 ISO. So in low light capabilities, this camera is going to be great for the light. So if I'm doing my astrophotography, which many of you know I'm obsessed with astrophotography, or the day to night or morning to day type time lapses, this is actually going to perform a lot better for me, because I'm going to be able to get a higher ISO and still get some nice shots. So that is my opinion on the Sony A7R II. I hope you guys, this helps you out. Feel free to leave comments down below. You can also email me at mediaunlocked101@gmail.com. Hit us up on Facebook, like us, and I will do my best to answer any questions that you might have, especially surrounding this specific setup, the Meta Bones with the Sony A7R II and a Canon lens. If you have any of those questions, these are big purchases, so you want to make sure that when you make these type of purchases, or thinking about making them, that you're as informed as possible. So you guys have a great day. I'll catch you next time. Enjoy the pictures.
Hey guys, if you'd like to check out our website where we have all kinds of fun and exciting blogs, videos, and extra information that isn't on our YouTube page, click right here. If you'd like to talk to us or contact us and kind of take a look at all the different stuff that we have going on, we've kind of funneled it all through our Facebook. You can hit our Facebook page right here and follow us or like us. Now, if you like to look at cool pictures and behind the scenes stuff, we do that on Instagram right here. So go on and follow us on Instagram. And of course, we got our cute little bird right here, Mr. Twitter, and you can follow us as we do our short tweets.